Hello and welcome to the Front Row Back Row podcast. My name is Dr. Owen Campbell, and with me, as always, is Dr. Brian Wolf, and together we are Physio Growth. So today we are going to be talking sponsorships. If you have been in business for God, anything longer than 6 months, that when people find out that you are a business owner, my lord, do they call you and offer you the weirdest things? I have had a newspaper advertisement guy call me and say it's worth $1,000, right? And you're just like, are newspapers still a thing? All the way up to you can sponsor. For me, as most of our listeners know, I specialize in golfers. So junior golf associations, big time stuff where you can really drop a lot of money. So, what I want to talk about today, Brian, is are sponsorships worth it? What sponsorship should we be going for? And how do you evaluate one of these millions of email offers that you get uh, to really kind of make sure that it works for you?
Cool. I think it's a couple different things, right? So I think that sorry, my bad. I was muted. I'll have to edit that in.
A couple different things, and then Brian goes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one of the things that's important is to also understand what the sponsorships are doing, right? So, it's funny. I was just talking with some of my people in the past about like different ads and different things we run. So whether it's paid advertising, this all falls under paid advertising, what you just said, right? Sponsorships are that. I think and I'll explain, like, some of the sponsorships that we do, we also make sure that we're involved in some capacity. So I'm not a big believer in passive sponsorships doing anything. Why? Because you can't measure them. So say I'm like, all right, I'm going to sponsor a little league baseball team, right? For 300 bucks, 500 bucks, 600 bucks, whatever the heck it is. And I'm going to put Evolution Physical Therapy on the jerseys, right? I'm going to cut them a check and they're going to come in, whatever, right? The problem is with that is that when those people actually, you know, come in for physical therapy, if that even happens, you have no idea. You have no clue. So it's not a sponsorship that's effective in that way, right? Now, what you have to look at is brand marketing, is helping with your branding and awareness and all that stuff. Like that's something that's nice in that regard, and I think that's good. So I don't necessarily think that, from a sponsor perspective, you have to look at what you're trying to accomplish. Now, say you're like, hey, I want to be able to measure it and get eyeballs and all those kind of things. I think going to an event and sponsoring an event, like a golf event for Owen, or like we've done wellness stuff, health and wellness stuff, going there, sponsoring the event and doing some sort of something where you're getting names and phone numbers. Now you can interact and call people and set them up in your systems to talk with them and try and convert them into customers, right? And that's how you can measure and be really effective and thoughtful with your sponsorships. So I think there's brand type of marketing, and then there is call to action type of marketing where it allows you to actually get information and actually be able to interact with customers and try and get from that perspective. So I think that's that. I don't know if that answers your question in particular, but that's something that I would say in general is a really good way to work on brand marketing, and also working on the aspect of maximizing your ROI and having effectiveness with it.
Well, and that's big boy marketing 101, right? Obviously the bootstraps marketing 101 is the guerrilla stuff. Like you just put your table in front of like a local grocery store if they're cool with it, and then you just try and talk to as many people as possible. But when it comes to actually like sponsoring things, if you look at any corporate PT company, they will always have on their intake form, how did you hear about us? Right. And that is solely so that the marketing department can take all those answers and figure out, okay, of the 1,000 people we saw at this clinic this month, you know, how much percentage of them came from this, and this, and then they can spend their marketing dollars on that next year. Right. So that is I think, underappreciated skill of a new owner of every single time, even, when I do it with a solopreneur, right? You got to be asking, where's this coming from, right? Because
Totally.
I think I texted you the other day where I was like, well, I spent 2 grand on ads and I don't think anything worked. And then lo and behold, I just had a guy buy a package and he's probably going to buy two,
Huge.
And so I'm like, all of a sudden it went from, oh man, I don't want to spend I'm never going to do that for another year, to like, oh, okay. Like, maybe I do that again, right? So
For
it'll
sure.
change, how you do it. So when you sponsor, you really want to look. I think that's a great point you made. Of you want to be there, right? If you can, right? You want to have somebody from your
Yeah.
company, and you really want to kind of try and get name and email, right? Name, phone number, email, right? So that you can follow up in a day or two and say, "Hey, remember me from this thing?" Right? Because they're not going to remember who you are, right?
Yep.
They would have told you. Now, some people are just really nice and they'll be like, "Oh, I totally want physical therapy. Yeah, call me," and then they forget. But other
Yeah.
people, it's just, I mean, God, they just forget, right? So you got to email and then follow up. So a lot of sponsorship, kind of how it pays off for you, is actually how you manage it. And
1000%. Oh, and I'm so glad you put that out there, right? Speed to lead. We've talked about this conversation. Get the person in the door. Like this is on you. You've heated up the lead in the sponsorship. But anyway, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, I think so. That's something that I would tell anybody who's ever, thrown some money, like you said, the passive sponsorship of a baseball team, right? For me as a solopreneur, where I'm still very much worried about my cash flow, an extra few $1,000s get spent on something that'll hopefully really have a big impact on my business. For me, brand marketing is kind of stupid, right? Like, you're not going to see enough people that you have to remind people so many times of your brand for them to be able to think about it first when they think of physical therapy, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now, it's not to say never to do it, but like, you should be spending on what you were talking about, that call to action, that solid lead in your hand. So yes, you sponsor, but you really want to be able to get there, talk to people, and be able to get name, number, and get your face out there. Because let's be honest, like, people need to like you to come to physical therapy. And if you're out there, that's a good way to do it.
100%. I think the key being is, I would say to Owen real quick, right? And Owen, I think you said that he bought a package from you and then he's going to re up again,
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And then
right?
he's
So
going to send his father-in-law and like
bingo.
all this
So
other
then,
stuff.
so then the $2,000 made Owen 3,000 plus then the word of mouth, like the word of mouth down the road. Right now, my father-in-law now it's 4,500. Now it's 6,000, and at that point, so by the way, for those people that don't think that paid advertising works, you should join Physio Growth and learn what Owen just learned, and that will.
Mhm.
If you did what Owen just did with one successful ad, it got two customers. It would pay for Physio Growth what for the next 3 years,
Oh,
right?
dude, the
It's so,
emotional swings that
right.
I had in the last 3 months of,
Yeah.
I'm taking out a credit card. I'm putting $1,000 down on black, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
took out like a 0 interest one for 6 months. So I knew that if it completely failed, I could pay it back, right? And then I was texting Brian. I was like, "Oh God, okay, this is great. I did everything you said, but like, I didn't get a single league. This sucks," right?
Yeah.
And then for a month, I was like, "I'm never doing
I
that
get it.
again." Projecting out my next few quarters without a single paid advertising dollar and blah blah blah. And then now this comes on, and I'm like, oh, well, he's
Yeah.
got a father-in-law who wants it. He's a member of a country club and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like that completely
Ye-
changed your tune. And that's the small sample size issue,
yes.
right? Not just of paid ads, but also sponsorships, right? I might have nobody who signs up for me after I do like some business expo or whatever. But if in a year someone's like, you know what, I saved your card and now we do have the problem you said you would solve, and I sign up like a corporate wellness package for somebody who has like 100 employees, hey, whatever. Great.
Yeah.
It's you're not operating. Sometimes you have to extend your timeline out.
The marketing is a spend money, get money game, right? That's what it is. So the reality is if you spend no money on marketing, you will definitely get no money. That is
Yep.
guaranteed. But if you spend money, you probably will make money. And that is the
Yep.
idea. The question between good marketers and bad marketers is how much money will you make? Bad marketers spend 1,000, make 100. Great marketers, right? Well, good marketers spend 1,000, get 1,000, maybe 1,500. Great marketers do 1,000, spend 1,000, get 3,000. Amazing marketers obviously do better. So the idea behind this whole concept is trying to spend money to make money. That's what paid advertising is. And so the answer to a lot of sponsorships is how are you going to leverage your time? How are you going to leverage your money to make more money? But what I love that what you said, Owen, is so many people will spend a sponsorship, not go to the event, not follow up with the people, and be like, oh, paid advertising doesn't work. Is it really paid advertising, or did you not have a good system set up to leverage the money that you had? I would argue it's probably because you're not spending enough on marketing. Because
Yep.
if you spent money on just sponsoring a team and expected it just to like come back to you, it means it probably wasn't enough money to be meaningful to you. You spend $3,000 a month or 4,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, however much it is, right? I promise you'll spend more time following up with those leads and figuring out if it's freaking working or not, right?
Yeah.
So that's why to me, a lot of people need to spend more specific time on how to build more of a marketing funnel, how to work it, how to leverage it, those kind of things. So I think that's super important from a sponsorship perspective.
Yeah, and if you like this information, if you think this is helpful, it's going to be something that you can use tomorrow. Share it with a friend, right? We want to grow this podcast. We want to help other business owners, specifically PT business owners, get more money so that we can have a bigger seat at the table. Maybe negotiate some of those insurance rates so that we're not all running to cash pay.
Yeah.
Those types of things. So the thing that I think, and I mean, we kind of come back to this a lot, but I think it bears repeating is that these things work. Like,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
people other companies wouldn't be spending this money if it didn't return for them. But I
totally.
think the important point you made is like it's all about the practitioner, right? Not the
Yeah,
practice so much, right? And we know this in physical therapy. Why do we start our own business? Because we think PT is great, but it's also not done as well as it could be because we're awesome at it. So we're going to start our own company, right?
for sure.
Um, the same thing I think goes for sponsorships. Like if I look at it this way. So I had a friend who had a table at one of these business expos,
Yep.
and sorry if my dogs are barking like crazy
No,
in the
you're
background.
good. You're good.
All
You're
right.
good. We hear them, but we love
But
them anyway.
but I had this table, and the guy was like, "You know what? I can't make it. It's my boss's table. Screw it. It's yours." So I set up with my PT stuff, and I just talked corporate wellness to a bunch of business owners. Right. So in my head, I'm thinking, "Hey, free money. This is great." Right. But I got fortunate. But let's say one of those turns into a corporate wellness patient or a client, right? And I get 100 people. My God, I'm going to be going to these business expos forever, right? So like it's hard because you can't see the future, but you have to look at it and say, people who are bigger than me, who are farther down the path than me, they're all doing this, right?
100%.
What are the people ahead of me doing? Where do I want to go? And you just have to trust that it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was the best pitch that Owen just made for any type of mentorship. The
Yeah.
reality of why I started doing it was I found people that are a few steps ahead of me that were doing it that I wanted to be like, and they were doing this, so I learned how to do it with them. Right? That's
Yeah.
that simple. If you want to learn paid advertising, join our Physio Growth group, and we will literally teach you how to do it. It's that simple. So
Yeah.
again, it's pretty simple. Again, if you guys like this podcast, please click follow. Again, we do this for fun and something that we love to create a following and more help more people. So yeah, if you're interested in more learning about paid advertising and sponsorships and how to actually leverage this stuff and make money, would love to chat with you. I'll end it with this. If you're a physical therapist listening to this, that's like I'm interested in, I'll explain because I have an employee who's going to golf events, and I'm coaching him through how to go to golf events and get more golfers. I can promise you, if he starts bringing in a buttload of people, I'm going to pay him more money.
Yeah.
Anytime you can learn how to bring patients or clients into a business, you will get more money. You will earn more money. It's a valuable skill. So if physio growth, you may not even be a practice owner. You may just want to be able to build your own career, and that's something we can help you with mentorship as well. So
Yeah. Yo, give him my
cool.
number. We can talk golf.
I
All right,
know,
my
man. I love it.
friend.
All right, dude. Cool.
We are out. Have a good one.
You too. See ya.
See you.